Okay, what we're going to be looking at in this tape is Senshido's, I guess, methodology of ground fighting. In my personal opinion, and as much, I mean, a lot of people know this already, however, we feel that there is a disturbing trend going on in the martial arts systems as far as personal protection, reality-based training goes. That disturbing trend is that most people are hooking onto the grappling arts and I guess having a firm belief that the grappling systems are street efficient or effective or good enough to enhance survivability. Now, to a certain degree, that's true. That is correct. Grappling is an integral part of any fighter's arsenal. However, it's important to look at every other range, and it's important to look at self-defense or personal protection as a global understanding, a totalness, a holistic approach. Fighting is a complete system. There are no different styles of fighting, or, well, there are, but there shouldn't be. Fighting is one complete organism that is broken up into many subparts. And some of those categories are ranges: kicking, boxing, trapping, grappling, knife fighting, so on and so forth. Then you have to look at the complete and total approach based on an emotional and psychological level. How fear, pain management, stress management comes into play. All of these things are all interrelated. And when it comes down to grappling and ground fighting, there's a big difference. To us, grappling is more of a sport-oriented system than ground fighting. Basically, ground fighting, if you break it down, it's fighting on the ground. Grappling can occur standing up or on the ground, where two people enter a clinch and they start wrestling each other and trying to take each other down, trying to overpower each other. And then you're looking at submission holds, arm bars, leg locks, chokes, finger locks, elbow locks, joint manipulation, so on and so forth. And although there is a certain validity to these compliance techniques, on the street there are many limitations that come with that. Insofar as that is concerned, such as multiple attacker situations, concealed improvised weapons. What happens if your opponent is bigger or stronger than you are, more skilled than you are on the ground, as far as grappling goes. It's important to coincide grappling and ground fighting with a vicious, close-quarter combative arsenal. And what I mean by that is to integrate a lot of the close-quarter combat skills and drills into the ground fighting aspect. You don't want to get onto the floor and wrestle your opponent. Such as, like, environment plays a huge role. To give an example of that, one of my students, which will remain nameless, got into a fight, a street fight. And it was the dead of winter, and this happened about 3 or 4 years ago. And some guy bumped him, they exchanged words. One thing led to another, the fight got physical. His opponent, his attacker, happened to be a skilled grappler. He found that out quickly because my student got clinched and a textbook takedown was done. The guy hopped on, mounted position, and immediately went for a lapel choke. Used my student's jacket and coat to try to choke him out and strangle him. And what happened next is that my student looked at him and said, "Oops, you forgot about concealed weapons." Pulled out his trusty blade and stuck the guy 6 or 7 times in the kidney and in the leg. Now, the guy survived, but he panicked, got off bleeding, and my student got up and got arrested. And one thing, again, led to another. He got about 6 months. But he's alive. And the point of that is, you cannot forget about these things, concealed weapons. You cannot forget about improvised weapons, broken piece of glass on the floor, gravel, a rock for that matter. Then you got to look at environment. Knee-high snow. Here in Montreal, about in 1999 or the year 2000, I should remember, it was a pretty historical event apparently, there was an ice storm. And you couldn't even walk the streets, without losing your balance. There's just, the entire city was covered in ice. And so getting attacked under those circumstances, you don't have much grounding. You don't have much control. So you can slip, you can fall, and then the clothing you're wearing will also come in and play a huge role as to what you're going to do and what you can do on the ground. Boots, a big fat jacket, gloves, a snowsuit, I don't know. So there are certain things that have to be taken into consideration when you're looking at ground fighting and grappling. Now, we have a saying that goes, a good fighter knows how to grapple, but a great fighter knows when to grapple. And that makes a big difference. You need to kick when you have to, punch when you have to, grapple when you have to. Do what needs to be done when it is called upon. Do not force a range. Do not force a tool. Do not force a technique. This helps create clarity in the moment. You don't want to try and do your best move. There's I believe a chess champion once said, the heightened strategy is not in doing your best move, but rather in doing the worst move for your opponent. That makes a lot of sense. I could be the greatest kicker in the world, but I might get attacked in a 4x4 elevator against two guys and one of them has a knife. I'm not going to try to step off and throw a round kick or a side kick. It's just not going to function. It's not going to serve me in that moment. So we're going to be looking at a lot of different drills, and we're going to be looking at a lot of interesting concepts regarding grappling and ground fighting. However, this is not per se a how-to instructional tape. I'm not going to be saying if somebody does this, you do that. I'm not going to be teaching techniques. These are much more alive drills than anything else. So the very first thing we want to look at when you're looking at grappling is that when somebody clinches you, or has entered your close quarter space and clinched you, there's the initial reflexive response of negating that energy. It's almost instinctual. What I mean by that is, Zayd, come here a second, is that if for example, Zayd throws a punch, I jam that punch, okay? Now from here, once I've jammed that punch, he grabs my hair, and he starts pulling on it. And then I get into the position where I'm trying to negate that energy, where I'm pulling away or I'm wrestling against him. He grabs my shirt. Now from here, he begins to clinch with me, and he's trying to take me down. Now the very first thing that happens, freeze here 1 second, very first thing that happens is that there's that negation, force against force that occurs. Okay? Now, I'm just using the hair pull and so on and so forth as an example. It's not necessary that it'll be this way in the punch. It could be anything. It could have been, he went in for a tackle, I jammed that tackle right away, and as he's trying to come in, I'm negating, and then all of a sudden there's muscle against muscle, force against force. Now, the next thing that occurs, once that energy comes in and you're fighting force against force, that negation principle, is what you want to do is instead of continuously try and burn your energy, because most of the time, and I could be wrong about this, but 90% of the time, if somebody's going to try to tackle you, take you down to the ground, pin you or overpower you, then chances are he's bigger and stronger than you are. I mean, it's really rare when you see like a 5'2", 120-pound guy come up and try to tackle a 6'1", 350-pound guy. It's, you know, I mean, if it doesn't happen, the guy's an idiot. But most of the time, you're looking at a bigger person trying to overpower you and take you down. Why? Because bigger people, stronger people tend to rely a lot more on their muscle mass and on their strength. And I see that every day with my own students. I have a lot of students who are powerlifters, weightlifters, bodybuilders. They're great technically, but 9 out of 10 times they rely way too much on their strength. Rather than using that strength as an added tool, they are constantly relying emotionally on it. And that's wrong. But that factor will also come into play even with a smaller person. If he tackles me, if he tackles me and I jam that tackle right away, as he's trying to take me down, I might instinctively, or you might instinctively grab on and try to wrestle with the guy. Now, that's one of the worst things you can do, because emotionally that takes away a lot of energy. That burns you out, both psychologically and physically. Because you also have to deal with, in that moment of an attack or an ambush or a sucker punch, you have to deal with the emotional stress that comes with that, not just the physical assault. And once that comes in, what you want to do is, as the energy is forcing against you and it's pushing and trying to take you down, the second energy is the releasing stage. So as he's forcing against me here, I want to release. It's an Aikido principle. So I release. As it's coming in, pushing in, release. Okay? So I am now not doing this. Force. See yes, I'm doing it here. Now Zayd is a much bigger and stronger guy than I am, so he's overpowering me. It's not going to serve me to try and wrestle and try to headlock him and get into this kind of shit. Okay? So you got negation, then you got release the energy. So where's it going to go? That becomes up to you. This is where the 5 principles of physical retaliation come into play. Tactile sensitivity, the ability to interpret your opponent's energy through the sense of touch. As that energy is coming in, you've negated it, you release it, now it's time to redirect it and do something with it. Now that could be redirecting it, the guy into a fire hydrant, a wall, just away from you, whatever. The one thing I don't like about the 3 energies is that some systems advocate, as the guy's coming in and you've done your negation, and then you do a release as he comes in, I release that energy, and rather, as I redirect, keep going with me a second, I just toss the guy and he falls. Okay? Where at that point it's like, boom. Now, what's wrong with this? I can't hear you. It's because okay. So what's wrong with this is that the individual is going to get up twice as pissed off as before. Now, if he's twice as angry, because if I just negate, release, redirect, toss him, he's going to get up, he's going to be twice as angry. If he's got a weapon, he's going to be a lot more inclined on using it now. Now, what did I do? What did I accomplish? All I did was, I accomplished pissing off my opponent, got him to pull out his weapon, now I've got to deal with a more enraged attacker. So on the contrary, what you want to do with this is negate, release, redirect. As you redirect, strike. Physically retaliate. You want to hit back. You want to go for the closest weapon, closest target principle. So again, now it doesn't matter what he comes with. It's important also to understand that you're going to reflexively move and respond to his attack. Now I'm going to touch upon something just slightly here, is that if we're standing here and I'm arguing with him, or this is a confrontation, we're having words, and I might have just shoved him and gone, listen, bitch, you got a fucking problem, man? You look at me? And he shoves me back, and and then all of a sudden now you're getting into this kind of altercation. Now, if we're talking, I'm looking, I'm pointing at him, there are going to be sudden cues or clues that this guy is about to throw down. And what I mean by that is that, watch for the following. We're talking, and all of a sudden I start doing this. I'm looking around. What am I doing? I'm setting up my punch. I'm setting up my attack. I'm checking to see if there's anybody around who's looking, who's going to see me. I'm looking for witnesses. Okay? It could be a weapon coming out. All right? I'm setting him up for the sucker punch. If I had a friend of mine with me, Eddie, come here a second. If this was a 2-on-1 situation or a multiple attacker on one situation, excuse me, and I was attacking Zayd here, let's say Ed was my buddy. Now Ed is standing here and we're talking and we just got into a fight with this guy I'm bitching at him, and Ed's my little, right? And now all of a sudden this guy's saying something and I'm going, you fucking believe this guy, man? What did I just do? I shifted my weight, I turned my attention to my friend. What's going to happen psychologically is he's automatically going to turn his attention to my friend as well. Or even if he doesn't and he still keeps his eye on me, is he expecting a physical assault from here? Chances are he's not. And most people get sucker punched that way. Where like we're talking, we're fucking asshole, you get a problem? Hey, you believe this fucking bitch? Boom! And I turn around and I nail him right here. That's a very dangerous thing that occurs. Another thing is the person might start walking away. Thanks, Ed, I'll call on you in a couple of minutes. Another thing is the person might start walking away. Okay, man, it's cool, don't worry, it's cool. All right? I start doing this. He turns around, nail him from the back. A shift of weight. Talking over here, and all of a sudden I'm just shifting my weight back and forth. I'm doing this. I'm getting prepared. My adrenaline is dumping now. I'm getting ready to hit him. Okay? Flushness of the face. The guy goes white. Now, a lot of people will mistake that or take that for the person's scared. That's caused some people parts of their anatomy. The person is not scared. What's happening is the blood is leaving the body at a very, very rapid state. It's the fight or flight syndrome kicking in. His muscles are fueling. And at this point, he's getting ready to hit. So if I'm standing here and all of a sudden I go flush pale, and I'm not saying much, then I'm starting to move here, I'm starting to shake and tremble, I'm about to hit this guy. I might turn around and nail him here. Okay? I might grab him and punch him, I might tackle him, whatever it's going to be. These are some signals to look out for. The classic shove. as we looked at in the first, in the Tactical Urban Combat Series box set, Fundamentals of Personal Protection. The first, the classic shove, there are 3 different kinds of shoves. The person might be shoving to feel you out, test out what kind of person you are. Person shoves, steps back, creates distance. You got a fucking problem, man? And then starts walking in. He's looking at what's your response going to be? What kind of individual are you? Are you passive? Are you submissive? Are you going to challenge him? Are you going to swear at him? Are you going to shove him back? Are you going to get more aggressive? Okay? Another shove. Once you've made your intention, now the shove becomes a bit more committed. Fuck you. He's entering your space now. Okay? The most dangerous one of the 3. The person shoves, angles back, shifts his weight. He's reaching for a weapon. Fuck you, man. And he starts to do this. Gun, knife, whatever. Okay? So these are 3 things you have to be careful of. Now, how you want to maximize your safety, your protect your center line, and maximize your reflexive response. What I mean by that is your flinch response is by adopting a passive stance. Now, there's a subtle difference between a passive strategy and a submissive strategy, wherein a passive strategy allows you to assert yourself without challenging or threatening your opponent. Hey man, it's cool. I don't want any problems. It's all right. Okay? He might be saying, "What the fuck are you looking at?" I'm not looking at anything, man. Sorry, I was staring off at this space, and if I was looking in your direction, I apologize. Okay? That's not submissive. That's passive behavior. Submissive is, "No, man, please, I don't want any problems." He's grabbed my shirt, and I'm acting really scared and petrified now. Okay? This is playing the victim role to draw my opponent in. The passive behavior, the passive strategy also works, but each strategy is adaptable to a certain situation. Is it a mugging? Is it a bar fight, an ego-based attack? Is it an attempted murder? Is it a rape? I mean, it could be there's hundreds of different kinds of attacks. Okay, so from that position, I adopt a natural stance congruous to a situation of confrontation, which is to get my hands up and try to subtly diffuse the situation, to de-escalate it. Now, from here, if that doesn't work, and he decides to do whatever he's going to do, okay, this is where my hands will come in and jam that. If he went through my center line, I'd reflexively close off. I'm right there. If he went around my center line, I'd reflexively open up. I'm still right there. Okay? But if he caught me off guard, because you could train, this is one thing, is that you could train your flinch response to a certain extent. Now, not everybody flinches the same way. Some people get their hands up like so. Some people turn away. Some people spontaneously duck. Some people move forward, but that's very rare. Most people move back. Our instinct is to move away from trouble, not move into trouble. So, based on that, it's very hard to actually train or retrain my flinch. I cannot teach people how to flinch. You figure out how you do that. And one way, what we do is, what I tell my students is, get a friend of yours to just spontaneously scare the living shit out of you daily, or a few times in a week, and isolate and figure out how you jump. I mean, if I'm walking and I didn't see Zig here, if there was a wall and I didn't expect anybody to be in the school that they're at home that day, and he all of a sudden makes the curtain, I turn, whoa, man, fuck, man, I hate when you do this. You just jump and you reflexively do this. If my reflex is to do this, then I got to look at, well, how do I work from here? Okay, but that's based on a hands down position. Okay, if I'm walking naturally and something comes up and I go whoa, and I get one hand up here, I angle off, that's based on a hands down position. Because your flinch response will alter itself if your hands are up. My hands are up like so, and all of a sudden he swings, I might do this, where I'm going to go, whoa, back up, get my hands up, and close myself off. Okay? I might turn away and do this, where if I'm here, and he does this, and I end up doing that, now I'm jammed. Okay? It doesn't mean the fight is over. It doesn't mean I'm dead here. It doesn't mean I can't do anything from here. I still have access to a lot of different things. Now the energy would be continuing, but here's where we get back into negate, release, and redirect. I angled back, he jammed me, we end up here, he's trying to take me down now, where his energy is continuing through me. Okay, so push through and do what you're going to do. So he's doing this, and I'm going, whoa, what's going on? Now I'm wrestling with him. Okay, I'm fighting force against force. What I want to do, continue, is release that. Once I figure out where I'm going, I place myself, turn around so the camera can see what we're doing, continue, and now I've got access to his groin. Now I've got access to his eyes. Now I've got access to a knee. Okay, so I can still fight back from there. It doesn't mean I got caught off guard. It doesn't mean because I got caught off guard that I can't fight from there. It's very important to, in your training, especially those of you who train in other systems, which I highly recommend. There's Tony Blauer's spear system. There's Mark McKeown who does, I think he does the wedge. Jeff Thompson does the fence. Everybody has their version of this stance and the flinch response. All great. However, you also want to look at basic human error and variable error. What happens if from here he goes to, now hold on a second, 1 second. Now I've done this before. There's a piece of paper on the floor, a banana peel, an unforeseen variable, okay? Now we're going to move slow motion, but watch. I'm standing here, he's standing a little bit forward, and we're talking. Now he throws his punch, right? Classic is step in and jam and then start fighting the guy off, okay? Now what happens is that as I step in, he throws the punch, I slip on that paper and I reflexively grab onto his shirt. Variable error. Unforeseen variable. Whoa, because if you do fall, your body will instinctively try and regain its balance. It's like if you're walking a tightrope and you start falling off this way, you don't cognitively process, oh yeah, I need to shift more to the left and get my weight going here so that I can get, no. Your body instinctively does that for you. Same principle here. If I slipped, my instinct will be to grab onto something to regain my balance. Now, I end up here, my opponent goes, what the fuck just happened? He's going to capitalize almost instantly. What's he going to do? Probably start, get back in that position. He's probably going to start raining punches on my head, nailing me here. Or with the other hand, or maybe throw a knee to my face, or I don't know, whatever he thinks of. Can I now back up my flinch from here? Okay? We end up here, he does whatever you're going to do. I end up, jamming that. He went for a knee shot towards my chest or my face, but just on pushing on his center line, stepping off, he completely, lift your knee, cleared me over here and missed. Okay? But I need to know how to fight from here. Now what's going to happen next is if I don't strike, we're probably going to end up on the ground because his energy is going to be coming in on me. Okay? So you want to try and place yourself almost in variable or human error conditions and learn how to fight from there. Another example is this. I'm sitting down at a bar. Okay? I was talking to somebody, blah, blah, blah. I didn't see this guy come along. He walks up to me, he's standing in my face now. So I turn around, I'm trying to talk to him, and out of the blue, he aggressively just shoves me really hard. Okay? Now, I'm going downhill, so follow me. He shoves really hard. What happens is that, boom, I end up here, and I've fallen off my chair. He circles, and he's coming up now. Now I'm on the ground. This is variable error, human error. I can't say, oh wait, I need to stand up and establish a proper stance and position so that I can, you know what I mean? I don't have the choice but to learn how to fight from here. Okay? But the principles still apply. What is my safety mechanism? My passive stance. Although I don't want to go, excuse me, I don't want any trouble from here, it's a little late for that now. I want to still get my hands up to protect A, my face, B, my ribs, my body, my groin area. Okay? Now what's he going to do from here? He's getting prepared to punch. He might hammer me. He might try to stomp me. Okay? Stand up and just like stomp on my head. He might, try to stomp on my face. He might throw a kick. Like boom, right across my head here. So soccer kick me to death. I don't know. You don't know. you can't really prepare for this. This is going to be instant. But if you can reflexively respond, now I'm standing here, what I want you to do is just go hard and fast. Punch me, kick me, knee me, just stomp on my head, but do it for real. Okay? So I just fell, and he's coming in at me now. He's going in. See, now I got to learn how to jam that energy, take him down, and work from here. Okay? So now I'm going for his eyes, and his throat, and his groin, and his, you know what I mean? I'm going to continue on fighting. Okay? Now you went at me pretty hard. Okay? He went at me pretty hard. He didn't land much. I didn't know what he was going to do. You could do anything you want. But what happens is that if we recreate this moment at this angle, okay, where he went, at this angle, and the chair was there, he went for the kick, I jammed. First thing I wanted to do, grab a leg, get my hands up. Okay? Now he's trying to punch at my head. If I'm jamming with here, and I use my leg to push out, okay, I'm creating distance. I can kick, I can do, I don't know, I can do whatever. I'm just working moment to moment. There is no set technique. I cannot tell you from here, nor would it be right for me to say, okay, from here, where he punched me, well, you know what I mean? And I jammed it, push his leg, and grab his arm, hook across it, bring him down, and now you've got the arm bar. As you can see, with the level of energy that Zaid was coming at me from, I could have never have done that. It doesn't really work that way. In reality, you've got what's going to work are your gross motor skills. Peyton Quinn has said this. Every single reality-based instructors, including SWAT, law enforcement officers, DT trainers, so on and so forth, have said this. And they're not just guessing, they're not making this up, it's based on science, is that when you're in a moment of, in a critical moment, when stress has hit you, when the adrenaline dump is going through, your sympathetic nervous system doesn't come into play anymore. You're strictly relying, I believe, either or on your parasympathetic nervous system, which is strictly allowing you to use gross motor skills, which at that point, a number of things happen. You get a great loss of peripheral vision. What happens is you narrow yourself out, and you're pinpointing on one target, which is very dangerous, because if I'm focusing on him, and he has friends, I'm not going to see them circling me. If he's got a weapon, he's pulling it out of his pocket, and he's preparing to use it, I'm not going to see it. Tunnel vision. Loss of 70% of your peripheral vision. Auditory senses get shot. You don't hear as well anymore. You cannot clearly put together cognitive thoughts at a rapid pace. Okay? So in this moment of stress and of adrenaline, you got to rely on gross motor skills. And any technique that requires any kind of level of training or practice is unfortunately not going to help you or serve you in a high stress situation. Now it works if you've all of a sudden shifted the predator-prey switch, you know what I mean? Where I'm talking here, he swings, I do this, and I go, whoa, boom, and I nail him and I strike him right in the eyes. Gross motor skills. Okay? All of a sudden he's backpedaling and and I just drilled him, and now I all of a sudden switch gears because I realize, oh wow, I just drilled him 2 times. He's protecting himself now. It doesn't mean that I'm going to angle off and do a wicked side kick to his knee, but it does mean that if I want to go whack and step in with a reverse hand palm strike or come in and throw a nice knee and then a hook punch, I can do that now because I've regrouped. And the fight or flight syndrome kicked in. I'm well into it, and I've switched the predator-prey role. So psychologically, emotionally, and physically, I have gained the upper hand on my opponent, where I don't perceive him as a threat any longer, and so I'm regaining my cognitive processing, my field of vision, so on and so forth. Okay? So now what we're going to look at is that we're going to look at that energy drill standing up for a second. If we've clinched, okay? This is one drill you can do, is just you get your partner, you get him to clinch you, so you can work from whatever clinch you want. This way, that way, whatever. Just work from any kind of clinch position. Now, you instruct your partner to come at you with everything he's got, only the first part of the drill First level is for him to try and take you down, okay? Your goal, as hard as you can, you just want to take me down to the ground, pin me, immobilize me. Use force, strength, pull my hair, grab my shirt, do whatever you want, tackle me, pick me up, whip me to the ground, okay? That's important to say that to your partner. It's important to say that to a partner you trust, somebody you know. You don't necessarily kind of want to, like go to a park or, pay some guy to, do that to you or anything like that. Not that I know anybody who did that. But anyway, so what you want to do is, it's an inside joke, but anyway. Okay, so what you want to do is grab your partner, clinch, okay? And you're working from the clinch here, and then you go, okay, take me down, hard and fast, let's go. So now all I'm doing is I'm feeling that energy. Sorry, head one. Okay, break. So you get the idea. So, are you okay? Yeah. He's got a really hard head or it's a soft wall. So, now, what's going on there, except for the fact that I can't breathe right now, is that he's coming at me with a lot of energy. As you can tell, we're both about to puke. So what's happening is that his goal, take me down, hard and fast. Now, I'm not hitting him. I haven't struck him yet. All I'm doing is I'm feeling that energy. Now, you can add many layers to this drill, where he's got a knife on him, right? We start from here, and as he's trying to do this, at any time he wants, he can pull out that knife and just come in and gut me, okay? We're going to get into that. I'm looking at from here. Now, phase 2 of this particular drill is to get into the clinch, okay? Boom. And then you end up doing the same thing. Guys coming at you hard and fast. Don't do it. Guys coming at you hard and fast. Releasing and redirecting. Now what happens is that at any moment, you get a third party to come in and interject and say freeze. Okay? So let's say, you got your breath? Eddie, come here a second. So let's say, as we did in the first part of the drill, now what's going to happen is that, you want to go offense or defense? What's going to happen is that Zaid, same thing here, is going to try to grab Eddie, pin him, take him down to the ground, hard and fast. Eddie's going to do exactly what I was doing, right? He's just going to release, redirect Zaid's energy. Just don't let him do that. Now, I don't know how long did we do that for about? What? 30 seconds? Is that long, Helen?
Not that long.
Maybe 15
20.
seconds?
Yeah, 20.
Okay? 15 seconds is a long time in a fight. It's a very long time in a fight. Okay? Now, at any time, in the midst of the tackle, the attempt to tackle and the clinch to the attempt of takedown, during that whole 50 seconds while I was releasing, redirecting, and playing with that energy, I could have struck him 100 times. And I literally mean 100 times. I mean, and I don't mean like, from here, break, and then, boom, 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 I don't mean that. I mean close quarter stuff. Eye gouging, head butting, spitting, biting, raking, hair pulling, ear pulling, knees, finger breaking, raking across his face, pinching. Okay? So, that's part of the drill. Is exactly like I said. So he's going to tackle Ed. Try to take him down as hard, as fast as he can to the ground. Okay? Ed, what I'm going to do, guys, is that as you're doing this, I'm going to let it go on for a few seconds, and I'm going to yell freeze. So I yell freeze. The second I yell freeze, whatever position you find yourself in, unless you're on your way down to the ground because you're falling and you let gravity take its soul, you freeze there and you don't move. Okay? Don't budge. Now, they're going to freeze And what Eddie's going to do is, from the frozen part of it, he's going to locate his closest weapon, okay, to Zaid's closest target. So all we're doing is we're actually isolating a moment in time during that situation. And we're going to see, in that moment in time, how many different things Eddie could have done. Okay? You guys ready? Okay, so start from the clinch. Okay, when I say go, start working. And when I say freeze, just freeze there. Go! Freeze! Okay, now, don't move. What we're going to do, in the exact same position, guys, just angle off the camera. Good, don't budge. Now, here we got a moment in time, okay, where Zaid the attacker was rushing Ed, and Ed is jamming Zaid's energy. Now from here, I said freeze, so we froze that moment. What can Ed do from this position? Now, very important though, and understand this, is that when I do say freeze, when you do freeze, guys, you still want to keep that tension. You understand where the energy was going? Say if your energy was going forward, still keep it going forward a little bit. Because if you don't do that, then let's say stop freezing that energy. Like if they just froze here and there's no energy continuum, there's no force continuum here, then Eddie can assume that he could have angled off and eye gouged. Okay? But in reality, when Zaid's energy is going through, Eddie can't really release here and eye gouge anymore because there's that energy, there's that force continuum. So we get that force still going through, however, a little bit to maintain that tension, that tenseness of the fight. And now what Ed's going to do is slowly locate 5 different things he could do from here. Now, Ed, what can you do?
I was thinking of doing I just come in kind of like a close and just pop his head up.
Okay, so you can do a bicep pop and jar Zaid's face and jawline. Okay, so he does the bicep pop. Do it. Boom. Okay, next.
From here?
Okay, come back. Let's see what else you can do from this isolated position. Okay, what else can you do?
Well, I was also thinking of angling off, like, because he was coming down.
Okay.
I was going to move like this a bit, and as I was going back...
Break, do it, let me see. So now the energy is going through force continuum. Eddie unwinds, releases, negate release, redirects, jams Zaid's energy here. Okay? Now, you still want to keep him. I guess from here you can stomp him in the groin or eye gouge him or finger or break his fingers. Okay? These are some of the closest weapon, closest targets he can do. Go back into the same position. What's the third thing you can do? Third thing you can do here is just grab onto Zaid's ear. Even the energy is going through, grab the ear, fucking rip it right off. You can tear right into that ear and control the head from there. Okay? For those of you who might think you could throw a knee from there, you can't. Because again, if you can feel, if you can feel that energy going through, if I try to lift this leg, I'm going to be down on my ass. Turn, other angle. Now, I got my weight, his energy coming through here, and my weight here. Don't really have a knee. If you can feel what I'm feeling right now, you'd understand that you don't have a knee. Now, it's easy to freeze here and go, yeah, you can knee him right into the body. That's without the force continuum. Okay? This is why it's very important to remember the aliveness of the drill, even if you isolate it. You can't just assume that, well, I could have angled off and done this kick. No, you can't. He's grabbing my leg and there's that force coming through here. So I don't really have access to that. Okay? Let's try that one more time. You attack him now. You release and redirect. When I say freeze, you're going to locate your closest weapon, closest target. Go. Freeze! Okay. Now, I'm going to ask you guys to just angle off this way. Same position, same energy. Okay. Now, Zaid, get your leg way back here. That's it. Helen, can you zoom in a bit? You get a clear picture of what's going on here?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, closest weapon, closest target, which I'm going to touch upon in a minute, the opportunity drill, because it applies everywhere. Zaid, what can Zaid do to Eddie from here? he can get right into Eddie's eyes. Even though the force continuum is there, that's easy, because Zaid's hand isn't jamming energy, it's just establishing a tactile sense here. The energy is not going forward. Eddie has now braced himself on the ground. So Zaid can go immediately into Eddie's eyes. Crank the neck. Okay? He can go into an ear pull. Okay? He can spit in his face. Okay? And now as he stands up, he can knee and continue. The whole, thanks guys. The whole point is that you want to be able to isolate a moment in time. Now if we were to take, come here a second Ed, I'm going to give Zaid a break. If we were to, now pay attention, because this is going to move really quickly. And for those of you who have slow motion on your VCRs, you might want to stop this portion, rewind it, and play it in slow motion. Watch it quickly first. Now, we're going to start from the clinch. Ed's going to come at me hard and fast. Okay? What I want you to do, Ed, is realistically react and flinch to what I'm doing if I'm striking you. Okay? So now, he comes and goes, speed. Okay? Now that's one. Okay? So let's try to look at this again. From a clinch position, okay? Clinch me any way you can. I'll put myself in an uncompromising position. My hands are under yours. Go. Okay? Now, again, what did I do there? Probably didn't catch it on camera because the angle, my hands were down here. Now I felt his hands release going from my leg, so I grabbed his groin, mashed it right away, caused him to flinch, got in his face immediately. Now, all I'm doing is I'm intercepting. I'm feeling where that energy is going. I'm jamming, and I'm applying my closest weapon, closest target principle. With the closest weapon, closest target principle, there's something that I came up with that's called the opportunity drill. Now, maybe it existed before, but this is what I labeled it. It's based on interception and the closest weapon, closest target principle. Now, let's say I'm standing here and I'm talking to Eddie. Now, all of a sudden, Eddie is going to let's say he grabs my throat, strangulation. Okay, and I'm talking, go. Okay, and he does this. Now, I flinched late, my hands were down, I got caught off guard. For whatever reason, he got in. Okay? Now, technically, he shouldn't get in. Okay? Technically. In a utopian setting, okay, if I'm talking here and Eddie went for my throat, I angle off and strike him, and that's the fight. Okay? Well, maybe not, because he could be high on drugs or just one evil son of a bitch, and I'd have to fight a little longer, but nonetheless, I changed the outcome in the course of it. Okay? Now, let's say he got in. And gets my throat right here. Thanks, man, that was good. No, I like intensity. Okay, as I catch, try to regain my Adam's apple. I end up grabbing his hands here because reflex, when somebody goes for your throat, is to immediately reach for the hands and try to pry yourself loose. Okay? Now, how do you apply the opportunity drill here? It's very simple. What you see, stay here. What you want to do is, now, I'm going to say the word opportunity, okay, out loud. By the time I begin to move my weapon towards my opponent's intended target, I will begin to say the word opportunity. Now, if I can say the word opportunity more than once, if I say it twice, 3 times, 5 times, by the time I move to the time I land on my target, then I'm not doing the drill. Sorry, not that I'm not doing the drill right. Then chances are I would have never landed that shot, because just as you flinch, so does your opponent. Just as you react to everything your opponent does, body language-wise, a shift of eyes. If I was just, how close are you to me now? 10. Yeah, you got about my head here? Now, if I'm talking, and you can already see my ugly mug really close. If I'm talking and I'm looking at you and I'm going, look man, I don't want any trouble. And all of a sudden as I'm doing this, I kind of like glance over, just a shift of eyes. You would react to that. And it's very natural, you can zoom out now and go a bit more full body. It's very natural to do that, where if Eddie was standing right here and we were exchanging words close. Sorry, I'm going to ask you to zoom in again to about here. Okay, make sure you get Eddie's head though, because I want you to catch his reaction. If he and I are having words and we're talking, I'm going, look, man, I don't know what the problem is. I don't have any problem, and I just start doing this as I'm talking to him. Yeah, I just. You know, and if I just start doing this, Eddie is instinctively and naturally going to shift his eyes and check what's behind him. He might do something like this because if he's expecting me to hit him, now Eddie is talking to me. Can you see his face?
Yep.
Okay, and he's just, as we're talking, he's just starts shifting his eyes behind me nervously like this. I might, as we're talking, what the fuck's the problem, man? I might start doing something like this, okay? Because it's normal for me to react to that. So based on that, as I'm saying, if you flinch and you react to everything, then chances are, because your opponent is human, unless he's not, then he's going to react to the same things and same impulses as you do. So if he grabbed my throat and I did this, now if I start saying the word opportunity, and I go, opportunity, 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 opportunity. Okay, now I said it about 4 or 5 times by the time I did this to the time I landed my target. Now, I'm going to move in medium slow speed, and so will Eddie. Move in medium slow speed, the same speed I move, you move. Now, don't let me do what I'm about to do, okay? So I start doing the opportunity drill, and I go, opportunity, opportunity, opportunity. Okay? I wouldn't have landed there. You see, he's moving same speed. He's not letting me do it, okay? But if I'm here, and I go, don't let me do what I'm about to do, okay? And I go, opportunity, opportunity. Oh, well, okay, that would have worked, okay? Because by the first time I said opportunity, I grabbed his thumb. Okay, let's try something else. Just put a bit more intention here. Okay, and I go opportunity. Oh, look at that. That would have worked. Okay, now let's try something else. Opportunity, opportunity. Oh, no, that wouldn't have worked. Okay, so you get the idea. It's a beat. It's a moment in time. I use the word opportunity because that my extra time gives my opponent the opportunity to react and jam that. Okay? So if I go opportunity, opportunity, oh, it gives him the opportunity to jam. But if I go opportunity, oh, no opportunity there. Look, now what? Opportunity. Oh, look, I got his ear. Opportunity. Oh, okay. That would have worked. I spat right in his face. That caused him to flinch. Okay? Now I go opportunity. Okay? Now look where my knee is. Not my rear one, but my lead one. Opportunity. Okay? Okay? So you get the idea. The same thing can be done in the reverse. You want to know when's your time to move? You say the word opportunity. So if I'm standing here and I'm talking, and Eddie in medium slow speed starts to do any attacking, a tackle, a headlock, a suck, whatever he wants. Okay? Medium slow speed. And we're talking opportunity, opportunity. Well, now see, now he started to move right about here. Okay? His hands were low, and then he started doing all this motion towards me. So if I'm standing there and he starts to move here, that's the time I want to go boom and pop him and intercept that. Intercept his thought process, his intention to move towards me. Okay? Because the ancestor, what is it? I think it's Emerson who said, something along the lines of the ancestor of every action is a thought. I think it's something along those lines, but it makes sense to me anyway. The ancestor of every action is a thought. So any action he wants to do, he has to think about it and process it. As he does that, his body goes into preparation because the mind controls the body. So all I'm doing is I'm intercepting his intention to action. So if I'm standing and I'm doing this, and then he has intention to move and do something now, whenever he wants, okay, this is when I step in and I jam him right in the throat. And I intercept that motion. Okay? Now, that's not having a self-defense mindset, but more of a protective, offensive mindset. There's a big difference. Self-defense would make me do something like he throws the punch and I go, whoa, and I step off and I do this and then I try to angle and I'm defending myself. But if I'm in protective offense and I immediately establish the mindset that if this guy moves so much in any sense aggressively, and remember the cues we were talking about earlier, he's not going to be just standing there saying, man, boom, and then nail me. I mean, he might. If he does, I'll get hit. That's a non-telegraphic sucker punch. That means he's a damn good fighter and he's thought about combat. Okay? But for the most part, if he's shifting his weight, if he starts to angle off, or he's looking behind him, or he's preparing, or his face goes white, or his face starts doing this, or he's, I'm sensing the heightening aggression in his behavior. All these are cues. Okay? So every time you are to fight back and you want to see if your physical retaliation, your closest weapon, the closest target, if you want to test that you're actually applying closest weapon, closest target, because it's very nice to say, I'm going to hit you with my closest weapon, closest target, do something, and go hit me, do something. Okay? So I end up here, and I say, I'm going to hit him now. Turn around, come here. Okay? I'm going to hit him now with my closest weapon to his closest target. Now maybe in my head I'm thinking that closest weapon, closest target, as silly as this may sound, but I'm stressing a point here, is my knee to his groin. That's just what I believe closest weapon, closest target is. Well, then I apply the opportunity drill to the closest weapon, closest target principle and concept. And I go, okay, I think my knee to his groin is closest weapon, closest target. Opportunity, opportunity. No, it's not. How do I know? Well, I said opportunity more than once, and he jammed it as I moved. Okay? So now I'm going to go closest weapon, closest target. I got to reevaluate that. Opportunity, opportunity. No, that wouldn't have worked. Now I go, okay, opportunity. Oh, look at that. Yeah, I just tore his ear right off. Closest weapon, closest target. I just figured out what it was. Okay? So, what we're going to do next is we're going to, come here a second, come back to the center. We're going to redo this drill, but we're going to do it from a ground fighting perspective. So we're going to do it on our knees. This is in case you got somebody standing up, first portion of the drill, and the guy comes up to you and he throws the punch or the tackle or the haymaker. You end up in that clinch position. You negate it, releasing or redirecting, and now you're looking for closest weapon, closest target based on the opportunity drill, which is what I did after. Which is when I said, we're going to start from the clinch. Take me down as hard and as fast as you can. Go. Okay? So I completely felt redirected. Now, did you catch all that, Helen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Okay. Even when I was doing on the ground?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I felt where he was going, jammed it, intercepted it, released, redirected, and struck at the same time. It's not per se, how shall I put this? It's not like 5 different rules. It's kind of like one rule broken down into A, B, C, and D. So it's one whole concept. You do not jam first. Okay? If I break it down for instructional purposes, yes. He comes in, jam, negate. I feel the energy continuum. I release, redirect. Now I go strike, closest weapon, closest target, opportunity drill. Stick my finger in his eyes, pop him, eye gouge. Okay? This is for instructional purposes. In reality, now do the same thing, but don't pause, but still go slow motion. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay? So in reality, he comes in and I go jam, strike, boom, whack. Okay? So it's the same thing now, just fluidly pieced together. It's important that you grasp that and you don't try to label it as step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, because it doesn't work that way. Okay? The next portion, what we're going to do is we're going to work it off the ground. So I'm going to ask Helen to come and tape into the ring and get a little closer here. Bring the camera, Helen. Zayd, get into the ring, guys. The only reason we're doing this in the ring is to save my guy's knees. I don't want to hack them up. Now, obviously, in the street, you've got you got gravel and asphalt and cement and whatnot. Staircase could be 100 different environments. But for protective measures, I'm not going to entertain you with my bleeding instructors. Okay? Okay, so I need you to get in a little closer, Helen, so you don't catch the ropes and you can catch all the action. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, are you comfortable that way? Because we're going to be in here for a bit.
Not really.
Okay. So hold on a second. Are you still taping?
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. Patience with us, folks. Patience. Okay. We'll be right back. Yeah. Okay. So, are you cool now?
You can lower it and sit down. Are we going to be standing or on the
No, we're going to be on the ground. We're going to be kneeling right here like this.
Okay.
Come here a second, Ed.
Okay, I'm cool.
Are you cool like this? Okay. We're really sorry to interrupted this portion of our instruction. But like I said, I wanted to save my guys' knees. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do the exact same thing. You got a good angle? Mm-hmm. We're going to be doing the exact same thing we were doing out there. But now we're doing it off our knees, on our knees. So you're going to start off in a clinch, okay? Or actually, what we're going to do is this time around, we're going to start off in this position, hands on like so, okay? Or you can even start it off just from here, like so, no hands on. That's up to you. If you're more in the beginner stages, you might want to start from here to establish a tactile sense and feel where the guy's going immediately. If you want to do it a little bit more, catch it in the middle of the drill, you might want to start from the clinch. If you want to do it a bit more advanced, you can do it hands off and then just go from there. Okay? So now what happens is that Ed's going to come in and he's going to try to tackle me, pin me, and immobilize me down to the ground as hard and as fast as he could. Okay? And I'm going to do the same thing. First portion of the drill, just release and redirect. Try to establish a better position. Okay? Now understand that in a real fight, you're not doing that the whole way through. You're doing what I was explaining earlier. You're striking and jamming instantly as the person's moving in. But it is also important to develop a sense of energy, where it's going, how to redirect it, and release it, and where to strike from there. So we start from this position here, and go. Take me in, okay? So again, it's coming in hard and fast, and all I'm doing is I'm playing. Break. Okay? So all I'm doing there is I'm feeling where Eddie's energy is going. Now, how much do you weigh?
220.
Eddie weighs 220 pounds. I am 170. That's a good 50 pounds over me. And he's barreling through pretty hard, pretty strong. I don't know what it looks like on tape because obviously I haven't watched it yet. So I don't know if I'm making it look easy or if it looks really hard because he's coming in pretty strong. But I'll tell you, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the energy. So, but all again I'm doing is I'm not getting into this. Now watch what happens when I negate force with force and I try to grapple. Okay? He's a bigger guy, stronger guy. He's been training with me now for over 2 years. He's got some pretty good ground fighting and grappling experience. If I go, just do the same thing, pin me, take me down to the ground, go. Okay, now I get into this, and I get him in the guard. Okay? Now I jam him. I wrap my legs around him. He's a lot bigger than I am. My legs are going to get tired eventually. Now we're looking at it from a perspective, this is more mat or tatami or ring friendly, because I'm on a soft surface. Okay? 220-pound man on top of me, and we're, let's say, even in ankle-high snow outside, and I'm not going to be breathing well. But anyway, I digress. He keeps going after me. He's trying to nail me and punch me, and I'm working him over it. I'm not letting him here. Now, do I have access? I do have access to strike and do stuff, but there's just so much energy that at the same time that I want to go offense, I also have to remain defensive, not allow myself get struck, get hit, get punched. Now, let's say, go back here for a second. We just dropped. Now watch how a multiple attacker situation here would really suck for me. Okay? For whatever reason, he tackled me. Boom! Bang! I end up here, I guard him. All of a sudden, Zayd is his friend, and he comes out. Go from that angle. So that they, okay? And he's coming from here so he doesn't block the camera, okay? And he's coming from here, and I've got to deal now with like 2 guys. How the fuck am I going to win this? I don't give a shit how good of a grappler I am. I don't care how good of a grappler. There's just no way. How much do you weigh? 220. He weighs 220 pounds also. I got 2 guys outweighing me by 50 pounds coming in, trying to kick the crap out of me, and I got this guy in the guard, still going berserk Tasmanian devil, it's just not going to happen. I mean, if I end up on the ground, I end up in the guard, I don't have a choice. But, as best you can, in a real fight, you do not, I repeat, do not want to go to the ground. For those of you who don't believe me, for those of you who might think, well, you know, he's not like Gracie good or Machado good, which you're right, I'm not. I'm nowhere near those guys' levels as far as grappling goes. However, test it out for yourselves. And if I'm not that good, then chances are neither are you. And even if you are, then that means you've been training in grappling since you were 4 years old, and you're now over 25. Okay? And even if you are that good, try it full out, no consent, with 2 partners you trust. And just get the guy, do exactly what I just did. Go in the guard and instruct his buddy to come at you instantly. Hard and fast, stomp you, punch you, crack your freaking skull. And then see from there if you'd be able to actually, you know, hook an arm bar and finish both guys off in a submission. If you can, what I would like you to do is videotape it for me, full out, no consent, send it to P.O. Box 423 Station B, okay, Montreal, Quebec, Canada, H3B3J7. I would like to see it. I will even pay for the shipping and handling of it, okay? So, what you want to do is, now, let's look at this scenario again. We've hit the ground for whatever reason, okay? We'll start from here, okay? Now, Zayd is going to come in as soon as Eddie moves in on me, okay? Go, take me down, okay? Okay, now I'm up. I took care of Eddie. I gouged him, raked him, hammered his head on the floor one time. Zayd's coming in. I'm up. I'm ready to fight. I can choose to run. I can choose to fight. I have choice. That's my point. I now have mobility. He couldn't reach me. I don't want to get into a locked-on grappling situation with this guy. Because if I do, and there's a multiple attacker situation, I'm in a heap of trouble. So now what we're going to do is go down on the ground, face each other, hands on. We're going to do the isolation principle one more time. Hands on. Eddie's going to try to tackle Zayd as hard and as fast as he could. Zayd's going to release, redirect. When I say freeze, you freeze. And immediately, Zayd, without my calling it or whatever, locate 4 to 5 closest weapon, closest target using the opportunity drill principle. Ready, set, go. Freeze! Finish him off. And he's up on his feet. Okay, now, let's do that one more time, but switch. So now, Zayd, you're going to tackle Ed. Go! Freeze! Take him out. Good. Now, the only thing I'm going to add to that is the awareness of outside factors. Again, multiple attacker situation, witnesses. You know, where is this fight taking place? Did it start on the sidewalk and end up in the middle of the road? Is a truck coming? It's important to also pay attention to your surroundings while you're doing this. Now, as much as you can, if I had more people here, I'd give you an example of that, but I'm going to do it theoretically. If we're doing this drill, okay, I'll use Eddie as the example, okay? Now, Eddie is standing at the corner over there. Now, what I want you to do, Ed, is just, as we're doing this, you circle me randomly. Move left, move right, keep moving around, okay? Now, what I want to do is I want to, as I'm fighting this guy, pay attention to what's going on outside. Now, remember, you're going to go into tunnel vision, but if you can consciously tell yourself to look around, you're going to defeat that, the tunnel vision syndrome. You're going to regain your peripheral sense of vision. But it's important that you consciously, cognitively tell yourself, remember, consciously go, oh yeah, look around. What if this guy's pulling out a knife? He's circling. Where's he going? So now we're going to start from here. Zayd's going to go hard and fast, try to take me down. I have to release, redirect, finish him, pay attention to my surroundings, stay on my feet, and get up and try to get myself to safety or have mobility or at least have a sense of choice as soon as I can. Because I don't want to be doing this and taking the guy out, and then I'm fighting and all that, and I'm not paying attention, and all of a sudden I think I won, and and I'm here where I've done this, and I go boom, and Eddie's his friend. And I wasn't paying attention to that. Okay? So for this drill, what we're going to do is we go back to here. Ed stands over there. He's going to randomly walk around at a quick pace, like a nervous guy, as we're doing this drill. And I got to keep paying attention where he is. And Zaid, you just do what you got to do. You just take me down hard and fast. Go. Okay, so as you can see, you okay? Yeah. As you can see, the entire time I'm paying attention. Where's Eddie? What if there was another guy? What if it's a truck, a car? What if there's... Play the what if game. Add as many what ifs as you can, pay attention to them, and establish that the possibility of variables can and will come into play. If your mindset is prepared for that, then you're much less likely to get caught off guard by these variables than if you weren't paying attention to them. Okay? We're going to continue on. Ed, come here. So now we looked at what happens when the guy charges at you, tries to tackle you, take you down, headlock you, pin you, whatever. You're looking at the jamming of that energy. You're looking at redirection. You're looking at striking at the same time. We looked at the opportunity drill. It's a lot of information, but try, if you can, to... one of the things is that I run off on tangents a lot. Now, a lot of people think that's good because some people have said that they learn the most out of my tangents, and I personally don't like doing that because I tend to lose focus, but here I am going off again. We're looking at mostly high ball attacks, which was boom, 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 okay, boom, boom. All this kind of stuff. What happens if the guy's shooting really low? Now, what's the very first thing you think of to defense against a low-line tackle? And most of the time, that's a sprawl, where the guy shoots. Everybody does this kind of thing, sprawls out, and as he tries to go for my legs, one of the most common aspects is to jam, to get behind the guy, slip in the choke, and so on and so forth. That's a good strategy. It's a good tactic and technique and all, but it leaves, in my opinion, a little bit too much room for variable and human error. Again, surroundings play a role. Environment. What kind of flooring is this? If he comes in, I do this, and I look at my legs, I'm pretty grounded here and solid because I'm on a mat. But if I was on ice or snow, I'd be doing the splits. And I can't really do the splits. Okay? So, snap, crackle, pop. So what you want to do is try to maximize your safety. And there's a lot of different things out there which work and that are really good. And we apply a lot of them too, but the whole idea is not to be bound by that principle, not be bound by the technique. As one of my former mentors, Tony Blair, states, you don't want to have any kind of emotional attachment to any range or technique. And I'll add to that, to any tool, to any tactic. You don't want to have any kind of emotional attachment to any range, tool, tactic, or physical technique. Because once you do, you get locked into something. And combat isn't about that. It's about being black and white. It's about being, about being black and white. It's not about black and white. It's all shades of gray. And there's so many variables that come into play that you cannot say, if somebody does this, you do that. And I will always apply the straight punch stepping off this way. I'll give you an example quickly. Again, I'm running off on tangents. Zaid, come here a second. I was teaching a class, and I often my student base is really wide and huge, and I often get a lot of black belts from many other systems who come and train with me. And what happens is that they get locked into that, to what we just talked about having an emotional attachment to a tool or a tactic or a range or so on and so forth. And what happens is that one guy was asking me, well, if somebody punches, it's always better, again, listen to the words, it's always better to move to his outside. Okay? And what that means is that, like, if Zaid was punching this way, if Zaid was punching, this way, it's always technically better to move out here, to the outside of the guy. In theory, yes, it's good. Now, if he was punching with this hand, that would mean I have to move out here. Now, this is what he was taught. The bad thing about that is that in a one-on-one situation, great, it works, it doesn't matter. In a two-on-one situation, if Eddie is here and he's going to punch me, and I angle off here, well, I've got this now. So, no, it's not always better. It's not always better to do anything. You got to improvise. You got to see what the situation, the moment presents, and what tools, strategies, and tactics are going to be applicable to the moment-to-moment situation. Okay? So if he was to throw that, even if it's let's say it's a straight punch to my face, technically, I can do this, but I'm moving into Eddie. Okay? If he moves a straight punch into my face and I do this, I'm going to get squared punch right in the face. Okay? If he throws a straight punch and I step off here, well, where does this lead me? I just stepped off. I still have to deal with the two guys. So there is no, angle forward, angle back, step to the side. You do what you need to do. If my hands are up and I'm talking, and now he straight punches me to the face, and I end up doing something like this, where I didn't get clipped, and I just managed to step off. Now Eddie starts to move into me, and I clip across here. I created, the shield concept, and I moved off. Now, in theory, it's great. You never know what you're going to do until you're doing it. And a lot of people use that as a cop-out to a certain extent. But you will tend to lean towards the way you've trained. Muscle memory, right? So it's important that in your training, you work with the variables and you work hundreds of different ways. For example, I get asked a lot by students, let's say kicking range, after you throw a kick, where should I land? My question is, well, I don't know. My answer is I don't know. It depends. Where should you land? Should I land forward? Should I land back? Should I land on an angle? I don't know. What's my opponent's reaction? Where am I? Does he have a friend? All these things play a huge role. If I'm standing here and I go in and I go whack and I drill him in the leg, if I landed the shot, I'll land forward and I'll clip him with something. Okay? But what happens if I go to do that, he does a knee block, okay, and throws a jab immediately after. And I go whack, boom! Where do I land? Well, technically what I want to do is if I did that and he did a knee block, boom, I won't want to step off to not get hit. So, I don't know. You don't know. Just be open. Be open and responsive. The more you know about a person's reactions, the more you know about the possibilities, then the more your mind, your brain, will be able to locate the appropriate file for that situation. I don't know if you're understanding what I mean. Am I being clear here? Yeah? Okay, so what it is that when we're faced with a problem, our brain automatically shoots in hundreds of different areas to locate the solution for that problem. If you've never looked at the possibility of that particular problem, then your brain doesn't have a file for it. Okay? So what happens is that it starts to shoot off, there's no file, you freeze. I don't know what to do. You panic, you become a victim. Now I'm talking about a personal protection scenario or situation, or a street fight situation or scenario. Okay? If in my head I've constantly, like I said, always programmed straight punch, angle off here, that's where my brain is going to go. But if in my head I programmed 3 or 4 or 5 or 7 different responses, and I go in my head, okay, if he's a single attacker, there's nothing there, I can throw the punch. I can step off here. Okay? If there's a multiple attacker situation, his friend's there, I've got to step off here to the side and start doing my shit. Okay? If it's a multiple attacker situation, and now he's punching this side here, yeah, then I can move here. And all of a sudden, I've got 4 or 5 different solutions to that one problem faced in different scenarios and situations. And so my brain will be able to locate the best possible response for this particular problem. And this is how you should be training. Very alive and very spontaneous. Okay, next. We're going to go back into the low-line tackle. Now, I'm not going to spend a huge amount of time on the low-line tackle because you can find it in the personal protection, the Fundamentals of Personal Protection tape, Volume 1 of the Tactical Urban Combat series, but I will touch upon it slowly. So, I'm facing my attacker. The most dangerous of tackles comes at close range because it's hard to see coming, it's explosive and dynamic. If we're at this distance here, and then Eddie decides to do a low line shoot tackle, well, okay, let's apply the opportunity drill here. Okay, let's try it. Opportunity, opportunity, opportunity. Oh boy, I've got a lot of opportunity. Okay. However, at close range, let's apply the opportunity drill. Opportunity, whoa, he's right in. Okay? So the second he starts to move is when your body is going to instinctively want to do something. Now, what are you training your body to do? I'll let you answer that. So what you want to do is, again, in law enforcement, cops are always taught to shoot the perpetrator or the offender in a self-defense situation or in a case where they need to use deadly force in center mass. What that means is, right around the chest area, the heart area, center mass. Okay? So, center mass is going to be coming at you. Whatever he does, center mass has to move. If I'm standing here and I want to throw this punch, I'm not going to do this. Center mass will move towards you and start to shift. The shoulders, the whole upper body, torso will move. I want to throw a kick or a knee, the body starts to lean back. I want to throw a hook, the body starts to move. So center mass will begin moving towards you. So you want to attack center mass. If I'm standing here and I'm going to go towards center mass, if he goes for a tackle and I just jam that tackle right away, boom, I step right into that. I've just intercepted his body. I've just caused a certain amount of damage here because he's walking right into the blades of my forearm with a certain level of force and ballistic explosion. Okay? Even if I flinch and I move back, I will still attack center mass. If he goes low and I've done this and I step backwards, I still attack center mass. I didn't cause as much damage. I didn't intercept as well as I would have had I had I jammed inwards. As you can see the difference between this and this, okay? But I've still done the trick, I've still done the job. If he's shooting this way, so we can see what's going on, and I've jammed here, he's going for my leg. Now from here, as he's going for the tackle, I've got, again, the opportunity drill. Access to my closest weapon, closest targets. So the second you feel that energy coming in, you want to jam it. So what you want to do is you want to study the movement. How is he moving? How's he jamming me? Okay? So I'm watching. No, same thing. He's going for the tackle. Okay? He's going to go for a 2-leg, double leg, just tackle me. So all I'm doing is I'm looking at that energy and I'm feeling how it's moving, what's the body rotation like, what's the very first thing to dip, so on and so forth. That could be a punch, that could be a tackle, that could be a headlock, it could be 100 different things. But I need to understand the dynamics of the movement. Now watch. Say, come here a second. He's going to do the same thing. Now we're standing here, he tackles me. Okay? Now go low line a bit more, go for a single leg or double leg takedown. Okay? So as you can see, keep going, get up, get up and do it again. As you can see, the dynamics of the attack are always pretty much the same, regardless, of who's doing it. Now, the setup might be different, where if we're standing here and we're at this angle and it's like the fight is on now, you're in the zone and shit, I might be setting you up and stuff. That's fine. But we're looking at it from a perspective here. You're going to fucking boom, and the guy shoots right away. You got to be able to intercept that instantly. Now, how you do that is through reflexive response training. So I'm standing, he goes for the attack and the tackle right away, and this is when, the second he moves, I want to step in and jam that energy. Okay? Now again, I'm looking at the second, look at his shift in weight. I don't know if you're doing that on purpose, but you see the shift in weight, the preparation for the attack. My hands are up, he tackles whenever he wants. This is when I step off and I jam that. Now, if he's to continue with the tackle, keep going. He's continuing with the tackle, we're getting into the exact same thing as we were talking about earlier. Okay? Whether it's a high tackle or a low tackle, doesn't make a difference. I'm standing here, it's a high tackle, bear hug type of attack, boom! I'm right in his face right away. I've already jammed him and struck him. If it's a low tackle, I jam right away. I just lower my center of gravity. And then you go in for closest weapon, closest target. We're going to look at some ground stuff now. You've got on the ground, in grappling, you got about 3 or 4 base positions. You got the guard, the mount, the T position, and the inverse of all. Okay, so let's look at the mount for a second. Now, ground fighting, grappling states, here's the mounted position. I'm not going to get into chokes and and strangulations and arm bars and paintbrushes and stuff like that. But ideally speaking, they state the punch, so on and so forth. Now, if I'm the guy, if we were taken down to the ground, now we both fallen down for whatever reason, boom, we're here. Okay? Now, I don't want to get in and, mount my opponent and start looking for my position, hammering him, because again, even if I'm on the offensive, forget defensive, you can imagine the heap of shit this guy's in, forget that. Just where my position is, let's say Eddie, again, is Zaid's friend. I just mounted Zaid, okay? And now I'm going boom, boom, and Eddie's coming in, and he's booting me here. Now I got to deal with Ed here. And now I got to deal with Zaid here, okay? So what you don't want to, again, as much as possible, get back on your feet ASAP. I can't stress that enough. So rather than getting into the whole mounted position, rather than mounting your opponent, finish him off on the ground, get up on your feet as soon as you can. Apply the concepts. You both end up here, boom. Now your instinct, do this, splatter yourself, open yourself out, and whenever you can, lock onto a leg, slide out, and mount. Rather than doing this, now from here, okay? If this was a real fight, and you do what you would do if this was a real fight, okay, Zaid? As I try to mount you, okay? So, go. Now you see what's going on here? There's a lot of power, a lot of strength there. I could have mounted. He just overpowered me, so I'd end up in the guard. What would happen if Ed was there? Now, let's do that again. And react to what I'm doing. Now, we're here. Do the same thing. I'm going to try to mount you. I'm not going to try to mount you, but do the same thing as if this was a real fight. Okay, go. Okay, so all I'm doing, you okay? Yeah. All I'm doing is I'm striking now. I'm not getting into the whole armbar, mount, so on and so forth. I'm paying attention to my environment, trying to finish the fight as soon as I can. Hundreds of ways of doing this. Go down. A couple of things to look out for. I'm on the ground, I'm here. I gotta look out for this guy. One, punching me in the face. Boom, here. Punching me here. Grabbing my hair. Okay, it's pulling me down. Okay, what are other things he can do? Headbutt, no, too far. Throw a knee maybe or kick, no. It's a little unrealistic from here. But these are the things he can do. So I've got to look out for weapon number 1, weapon number 2, possibility of weapon number 3 and 4 in no particular order. So I need to know this instinctively to protect myself from that, and at the same time terminate the danger. Now, if we've both fallen on to the ground, or he's halfway up here, and we're here, okay? And, you know, technically, you want to mount. Well, forget the mount. Finish the guy off. I'm on my knees. I got to get up on my feet. Main condition 1. Get on my feet. Finish the fight, okay? Now we're here. So what do I want to do? I want to avoid getting punched. My head tucks in a little bit, okay? So if he does manage to sneak one through, he's hitting the top of my skull. A lot more damage to his hand than to my head, okay? If he's wearing a ring, yeah, he'll split me open a bit and I'll bleed. That's the reality of it, okay? Now come back here a second so she can get a better view. So we're here. First thing I want to do is immobilize the hands and the arms to make sure they can't reach me and strike me. So he goes for a strike or whatever, I jam that. My head pins itself lower towards his chest. My body goes in. And at the same time, I've got to scan the area. I've got to keep my eyes open to see what's going on. I can't just keep doing this and working him over and then risk getting tagged from behind. So I've got to still maintain my eyes on my environment and my surroundings. Now as I'm doing this, I got to strike him. Well, what can I do? Well, based on this position, give me some force continuum. Based on this position, I've got headbutt. Okay? Pull, spit. Man, that works. You turn around and I go right in his face. 7-10 times, he will be flinching. Okay? You got headbutt, push, spit. Get your hands in his face and in his eyes. I eye gouge right away. Get right in. Distraction. Okay? I'm raking across, palm striking. Okay? Now what I'm going to do is I've got my knees. I can hammer a shot right here. Okay? I can hammer a shot right into his bicep. I can crush his thorax. I can do what I did earlier. Boom, boom, boom. What's the environment like? Grab the hair, grab the head, grab the ears. Stick your thumbs in his eyeballs. Okay? Hammer an elbow into his sternum. You okay? Okay? Pop it, corkscrew his head. I'm just giving you like all the possibilities that could be done from here. Okay? So if you're looking at it from a perspective of speed and power, can you get the 2 headgears? Okay? If we're looking at it with speed and power now, go back down. I'll continue a bit. If I ended up in the T position and I ended up boom over here, what can I do? What's my main danger? Again, I got his hand. He might be pulling on my hair. I'm going to cut it soon. He might be pulling on my hair. Groin. Okay? Hammer the shot right here. Hammer in the leg. Punch him. Hammer him here. Okay? Elbow. Bite right here. Okay? Punch into the bicep. Snap. Start looking for fingers. Snap them all. Okay? What else can I do? Can I elbow him here? Yeah, but that's not going to hurt. Too much adrenaline, not enough force continuum, not enough torque. If I want to really hurt him here, I've got to lift up a little higher. Opportunity drill, remember? Now watch. You react to what you feel, okay? Opportunity, react. Don't let me hit you. Okay? I go opportunity. See, he's gonna curl up in a ball. It's only natural. So now I don't want to get into too much. Hey, if I'm here, and if I want to elbow Zayd in the face, I'm not going to do this, because that's not going to land. He'll flinch, turn his head, protect himself. What would you do instinctively if I did this? You see, he's going to move. Now watch. Come back in normal state. Look where my elbow is. I want to pop him. Right? Short shots. Okay? I'm sorry for this. But if I just go boom right here, all I do is I lift off a little bit, half an inch, and I clip down with using my body. Give me a headgear a second. Head. Actually, you're wearing one? Yeah. Shift. Come here. Same position. Okay? Now, as I was saying, I'm here. Okay? Now, Ed, react. Don't let me elbow you in the face, okay? Okay, so he reacted. He almost ripped my face off there. Now, if I'm here, and I go, don't let me elbow you in the face, okay? Okay? Now, I elbowed him. Don't let me elbow you in the face, okay? Hey, I elbowed him again. Okay? Now, look. Fingers. I can break those. Pop in the face. Boom. Look at the short shot. I'm here. I don't get up and do this. Because as you get jammed, you're not going to land. My hand is right here, my elbow's right here. Boom! Just clip it. Okay? He doesn't have the time. Look at his hand again. Snap. Okay? I start bending that. Groin shot. Okay? Here's a knee to the leg. Here's a punch to the leg. It's all short shots. It's very important that... Come a little closer. Get down. It's very important that you don't get caught up in the heat of the moment to try to establish a huge amount of power. Power strikes work when you're A, grounded, and B, have your opponent in an already compromising position that he's not going to flinch to your pulling back to establish the power shot. Okay? If I'm here, okay, and I start doing this, it's not going to happen. He's reacting. Okay? If I'm here and I try to do this, see, he's reacting. Now, but if I'm here and I react to everything I do, okay, and I do this, did that land? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And that land.
Yes.
That land. Cool. Okay. And I just spat in his face there. Did that land? 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 It's all. You okay there?
Yeah.
Okay. It's all short shots. Look at his body. Look at how it's reacting. I'm not even hitting him hard. I'm pulling my shots. Obviously not to hurt Ed, but I'm showing you the capability of short shots. Bite right here. Okay? Get him to move. Hammer an elbow right into the bicep right there. Now even if I miss, although these are not fine motor skills, it doesn't require fine motor skill to go boom and nail him right across the elbow. I just start hammering however I can from wherever I can. My hand's here. I don't lift to hit. I just go back to how it was. I just hit. Okay? I'm here. I slid across. Palm strike. Elbow strike. Elbow strike. Crush his throat. Okay? Thumb. Look at that. It came to me. He kind of put it in my hand for me. Snap it. Okay? Now, as you're doing all of this, obviously, I just gave about 60, I don't know if it's yours or mine, but I'll give it to you after. I just gave him about 60 or 70 different things. I'm not saying you're going to have access to every single one of these. I'm just giving you a blueprint, kind of like a map, and you go the way you want to go. Because you could be working from here and start attacking the low line rather than the high line, but it's very important that you also protect yourself. I don't want to start doing this and then have him hack away at my face. But if I've managed to jam his hand here and his leg here, and I go whack, and are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay. And I hammer him here, and I hammer him here, and I hammer him here. Can he punch me? Can he punch me from there? Okay. No, he can't. He really doesn't have much. What can you do from here, Ed?
Kelly, just grab your hair.
Okay, grab it. Okay. Now he grabs my hair. Where's he bringing me? Towards his face. Right away. Okay. Boom. Now, as I'm doing all this, I got to get back on my feet. I can't waste too much time. This is just, again, giving you little tips on how to handle the ground situation. I don't want to waste too much time here. We ended up, boom, here, falling down on the ground. Okay, for whatever purpose, what I want to do is I want to jam both his hands. Keep an eye out on my surroundings. You react to what I'm doing. Okay? Now, I bit him. I had him, boom, and hitting him here. Okay? Hammer 2-3 times, right across. I'm back up. My hands are protecting me. I'm looking around. Okay? In comes the other guy. I'm prepared for that. Now, we're going to look at it a little faster, a little harder. So, let's say, okay. Yeah. Now we're on the ground here. Okay? Now, punch me in the face. Whenever you can. Okay. If I don't protect myself and I'm here and I try to mount, okay, whenever you're ready, go. Okay, stop, my helmet came off. Okay. Now, what I tried to do there was grapple. A lot of success that was. I tried to instinctively mount, and I got killed. Now, go back. I'm going to try that my way. Okay, we're here, and he's going to punch me in the face the second I move. And I'm up. Now, I took maybe 1 or 2 shots You okay, Ed? Yeah. But that has a lot to do also with the fact that we're wearing headgears. Eddie's not feeling what I'm doing. And even if he was, and even if he landed those shots, hell, it's a fight. You might get hit. You got to roll with the punches. Does your training include adequate pain management skills? Does it include fear stress management? Because if it doesn't, you're not doing this sort of thing, then you're only training for partiality. So it's important to get in there and feel it. It works both ways. Now, if I'm on the ground, okay, and I got plastered here. Now let's go from this angle. You come here. Okay? Actually, come here so she can see what we're doing. We just fell here. Okay? He took me down to the ground and boom. Now, what do I want to do? If I'm a grappler, what's my instinct? From here. Move with me. Go. It's to try to get him into the guard. How much time am I wasting? Let's see. I'm here. We fell to the ground. Jammed his energy. He's going to try to punch me and hammer my face in and pull his knife out and gut me or call his friend. Now, Zaid, just count out loud so the camera can hear. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, okay? And see how long it takes for me to get into the guard, okay? And once I get into the guard, keep counting until I've immobilized him or put myself in a position where he can't hurt me anymore, okay? So now we've both fallen down to the ground, boom, here. Now I'm actually helping myself here by putting my leg here. I'm kind of like a quarter of the way there. In reality, this might not be it, but I will try and put myself in the better of positions, even for grappling. Now, Eddie's trying to punch my face in. If you hit me, you hit me. I don't give a shit. Just punch me. Go.
1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 6 Mississippi.
Okay, now that's about 4 or 5 seconds until I've locked on. I've got him into the guard. Okay? I've got him into a decent position. Got his arms and his head locked. I didn't get punched. That's fine. And I've maneuvered him into a position where it's compromising. He can't really hurt me. He's too strong for me to hold him here for a long time. Okay, so it's not going to function. So eventually, I'm going to have to grapple, and I'm going to have to work my way into, looking for what I'm going to do next. Now, if this was to continue, I'd finish him. If I was the best grappler in the world, 7 seconds? Hickson Gracie, Sakurabo, fuck whatever his name is, all those guys, whatever. I mean, great. 7 seconds, let's say, at lightning speed. That's pretty fast to finish a guy from hitting the floor, into the guard, into the arm bar. 7 seconds is long enough for his friend to stomp my head in. 7 seconds is long enough for human error or variable error to interplay. What if as we fell down to the ground and I'm scooting, there's a huge rock or something, I whack my head and I lose consciousness for a split second, then what? There's too many possibilities of variable error to get into all this kind of intricate stuff. But we go back here and we go from the exact same position as I was, and Zaid goes 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, as soon as Ed starts to try to pound my friggin' head in. Okay? So now we go.
1, 2, 3.
Okay? So that's about, you count a little slower there, 4 seconds. You okay?
Yeah.
And I'm on my feet. I don't even know what I did there, actually. But 4 seconds, and I'm already up on my feet. I struck right away. I think I went right for the face.
Yeah.
Double palm strike, eye gouge, scooted out. I don't know if I need him or not. And I got back on my feet ASAP. Pay attention to your surroundings. Pay attention to your environment. Now, good way to train that is as follows. Again, you grab your partner and you try it from both ends. Exactly like what we were doing, where we start off from here, okay? From any position on the ground. We both just fell. Lock on a little bit if you want. Do this. Don't lock on. Put yourself in a compromising position. Get him to do this, and then move from here. Okay? And then you go, okay, punch my face or immobilize or do whatever you want. Go. Hey. So now I'm working and I'm looking at what can I do? How can I move? What's my surroundings like? Can I eye gouge them? Can I strike them? Okay? So you also want to try it out full contact, where put on the headgears. You guys wearing jock straps? Okay, they're not wearing jock straps, but so watch each other's groins. Try not to turn this into a sexual thing, guys. Last time was really embarrassing. Okay? So they put on the headgears, and now one guy goes offense and plays the street thug. And there's different ways you can do this. We're going to do both levels. Watch. Okay? So they go down on the ground. Put yourself in an uncompromising position. Guy on the ground. You're on the ground. You're defending yourself. Zaid's going to try to punch your head in. Okay? You got to work using the principles I'm teaching you. Zaid, you play the street thug. Okay? Your goal, just fucking bash him. Just pound him and get on top of him and massacre him. Okay? Now they're trying out full out, no consent. Alive, energy. Zaid's actually going to try to pound his head in, knock him out, break his face. Eddie's goal, to pay attention to his surroundings, finish the fight as soon as possible, get back on his feet. Okay? Now it's important also that when you're doing drills like this, that the bad guy reacts to the shots as if helmets weren't there and as if it was real. Now you can play with the level of overkill, okay, and play the part of a crackpot heroin PCP guy who doesn't feel anything, who requires a hell of a beating, or you can play the part of the average human being who flinches every time somebody sticks his thumb in his eye, and everything in between that. It's important to play them all. Go from the Terminator psychopath on drugs to the average puke who goes, oh man, okay, and everything in between, so that your brain, again, has access to hundreds of different files of response. All right? So now we see it. Let's go. And go! Okay? Headgears came off, and Zaid's putting it on backwards. We're going to take those. So again, as you can see as it began here, the level of energy is required to be as intense as possible. My helmets are getting old. Okay? To be as intense as possible and as realistic as possible in order to be able to feel that ferocity, that energy, that rage. Go! Good. Okay. Now, what happened there was Ed, you took a bit too much time to get back on your feet, but that's because he was holding you, right? You couldn't. So there's just sometimes that you won't be able to, and that the guy will hold on, but you still have to do your best to keep it in your head that one of your goals, one of your predominant goals, is to get back on your feet and pay attention to your surroundings. That was good work. They actually like swing punches and don't like catfight him. Like actually just okay. Okay, now let's switch offense defense. Let's try that again. Anytime? Anytime, go. Good. Excellent. Now what happened here was you took a shot in the face full force right up front. That might have changed the angles and stuff. This is why when you're working this, you always want to look at the principle that you don't need the helmet. You just want to look at the principle that we were talking about earlier of having your hands forward, up front, and getting ready to just jam in and intercept and get right into your opponent's center mass, face, throat area, and just overwhelm him with that energy. So even if we're here, Working from this position so the camera catches it. Even if we're here, I don't want to start off like this, because at no point, unless I'm unconscious, do I want to be like this. Okay? Force continuum, we just fell to the ground, my hands want to be here. Now the entire time we were doing the drill before of energy redirection, when I was working with Zig and Ed, is that as we're working, even if I'm working here, and I say, go, what's the first thing I do? Is this. Now even if he keeps going through, I'm working this energy. So it's very hard for him to come through, and I've got head manipulations. Okay? So it's the same thing if I'm on the ground. Where if I'm here, and he's in his position, where are my hands? Out here. Okay? I'm not going to be doing this, because it's very important to extend your arms forward and not have it at a 90-degree angle or further in. You want to have it extending out more. Okay? So if I'm here and I go do exactly what you did, punch him right in the face, it becomes very hard for him to do that because I'm extending outwards. Okay? Don't worry, punch me flush square in the fucking jaw, man. So if I'm here, it becomes very hard for him to do that again. I'm right there. Now you see me telling him, punch, did you try to punch me for real?
Yeah.
Really try, really punch me.
You want me to try one?
Yeah, punch me right in the fucking face. Knock me up, man. Go. Okay, so he's doing that now, and I'm right there, so now I can start to fight back, and my hands are right in his face. Now where am I going? I just struck him 3-4 times. Where's this energy going? Now, if I'm an exponent of the grappling arts, what am I going to try to do here? We're on the ground. Look at the position I'm in. Look at the position we ended at. Now, it's very easy for me to go whack and lock him up and bust his arm from here, okay? But I'm on the ground. If he's bending and we're wrestling and then I finally catch it, do I want to be here and get stomped? No. Okay? So if we are here and Zayd is again over there, always work your ground fighting with the possibility in mind of a third party, a fourth party, or fifth party. Okay? So if we're here, and the exact same thing, I got his arm, rather than going into the arm bar as we just did, keep going with the energy and force continuum, go. So if I'm doing this now I see Zayd's coming up, look, I'm up on my feet. How quick was that? Okay? Hammered him, and I still have a tactile sense on Eddie, I'm up on my feet, and I'm ready to, if I need to face somebody else, or take off and run. Another thing you can do is, get the knife. Another thing you can do is, working off the ground, doing drills, you can work them off the guard, where, let's work from the guard. You can work both ways. Keep it alive. Turn this end. Okay? Okay, good. Now you want to work both ways, from the guy on top's perspective and the guy on bottom's perspective. Now if we're here, and this was a real fight, and for some reason I ended up in the guard. We fell, boom, he fell between my legs, instinct, lock him up and guard him. Which is fine, okay? How long though do I want to remain here? Now, I'm the good guy, he's the bad guy. We're in here, it's a fight. What are you doing?
I want to bash her.
Okay, he wants to bash my head in. How's he going to do that? From here, he could be trying to punch me severely from many different angles. He could be trying to grab my head and smack it on the ground. If he's a bit of an experienced fighter, street fighter, he'll try to headbutt me in the sternum. He'll try to headbutt me in the face. He might spit at me also. He might go for my eyes and my throat. I got to be careful of that going for my eyes and throat also. I mean, we're not the only people on this planet who trains that. So I mean, what if you fall on some guy who's trained before and who practiced going for the primary targets? You got to learn how to protect against those too. So now we're here, he's going to go for eyes, throat, punch, do whatever he wants. Again, very important to develop what we talked about in the box set, the Tactical Urban Combat box set, tactile sensitivity. We're here, we're on the ground, punch me in the face. Okay, so what's he going to do now? Okay, so now I have no choice, I've got to protect myself. But as I'm doing this, keep working. Bang! Here's my head bump. Here's my eye gouge. Here's a knee to his head. Here's a rib. What did I do? How did I change this position? I took a grab of his ear and I pulled it hard enough to angle him off and neck controlled him. So again, we're here. Now, if you want to take it at a basic step-by-step level, you work the energy drill again. Work from here. My goal, don't let myself get hit. Your goal, hit me. Remember, phase 1 now. We're not looking at it from the perspective that it's an all-out fight yet. We're working certain aspects of it. We work from here. His goal, punch me out. Go. Keep going. It's good. Okay. So now, he's trying. He bit me here, made me flinch. It worked. Okay? Spat in my face a bit. Nailed me with a bit of an elbow here. Kind of almost landed something like I feel all this. Okay? So I'm feeling that, and that's stage 1. Avoidance. Can I last 5 seconds or more, at least minimum 5 seconds, without actually getting hit from this position? Now we go to phase 2. Now, phase 2 is the same thing, only now I can try to locate my closest weapon to his closest target using the opportunity drill. Same thing, go. Keep going, fight me, man. Okay. Okay, now, I asked him to continue fighting me because it's important for those of you who read my manuals and who know a bit of our system to incorporate, are you okay?
Yeah.
To incorporate the overkill mentality, where even if I'm striking him, I don't want him to pause. He keeps coming at me. I keep fighting back. Level 3, with the helmets. So now we go pretty much almost full out, okay? There we go. Now, so you can hear me. Now when we're going to do this, if I want to work it to my advantage, I'll say go. If I want it to work it at an equal opportunity advantage, I'll get a third party to say go. If I want to work it to my disadvantage and as closely to reality as possible, I wait till he moves. And then I start working. Because technically speaking, get up a second. Technically speaking, if we're looking at it on a moral and ethical point of view, if I'm facing my opponent and I'm talking to him, he hasn't made a move yet, and we're just talking, and he's calm, okay? Although, let's say his body language is very, look man, like this, but his words are, I'm gonna fucking kill you. You're not getting out of this club alive tonight. I just want to tell you that. And it doesn't matter when you try to leave. I got guys outside waiting for you. We're gonna fucking rip your head off. But he's got a very passive, not passive, but a non-threatening stance. But he's saying all of this, right? And I'm standing there going, holy fuck. My adrenaline starts to go on because my life has he just made a threat attempt on my life. So I'm standing there and I'm going, holy shit. Now we're in a club, as he stated, and all of a sudden I go, I don't fucking want to die outside, so I better fucking do something. I go, boom, and I nail him, and I go, whack, whack, boom, boom, and I start to finish him off. Now, who's going to end up in jail and somebody's boy toy for the next 6 months to X amount of years? Okay? So, I don't want to go through all that. Although, you've got the saying, it's better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6, and this was a bit of an extreme situation. All I'm trying to say is, morally and ethically, I cannot hit the guy first if what's called with justifiable cause. Okay? I cannot stand here as he's going, look man, you got a fucking problem? And I'm going, yeah, but boom! And I struck him in the throat. Can't do that. So I got to be standing here, and now when he starts to make a move, like let's say he starts to reach for a knife, whack! Now I can step in. Why? Because I'm seeing this kind of behavior, and that to me is justifiable. If he starts to shift of weight, and all of a sudden he whines for a punch, and I go whack, justifiable. Okay? So, if you're not going to be, now the preemptive striking is great, but it's got to be strategic. And when you're looking at violence, you got to look at the pre-contact phase, the contact phase, and the aftermath, post-contact phase. What happens after the fight? Okay? So, going back to this drill, or any other drill for that matter, you want to challenge yourself. You don't make the first move. You wait until your partner starts moving and starts trying to stab you or punch you or kill you or hammer you or whatever. And when he moves, you react. So that now it becomes a reactionary drill rather than a me being on the offensive drill, although technically I'm defensive. Okay? So we're here and we're in the guard. Okay? Now remember, if I'm in any kind of position, I will always maintain a protective, offensive stance or posture. So if I've ended up here, my hands are going to be either towards his eyes and throat, his face, towards his shoulder, or inside his inner biceps, one way or another. There's no way I'd be caught with him this way. And if it did happen this way, then it would immediately be a shift of something where I'd be striking and going apeshit on the guy. But I digress. So now, we're standing here. I go from here. The second he moves, I got to make my move. So whatever you want. Okay? So now you stop. Keep going. Keep going. Okay, so of course I couldn't see a thing, but anyway, what happened there? I have no idea. What happened there? I couldn't see. So I'll let Zaid explain pretty much what I did because I couldn't see a thing. All I know is that as far as the second I felt him move, I tucked my head upright so he couldn't punch me in the head. Basically got my hands in his face. Now, what to some people may look like I'm not doing anything when I'm doing this. Well, let's remove this, and I'm doing this. And when I'm doing this, and I'm feeling that, oh fuck, I'm on the ground, and I'm feeling a 220-pound, bull trying to flatten me and pound my fucking head into the ground. He might have friends. He might have a concealed weapon. I don't know. I am like bowling ball deep here. Okay? So when I got my hands on the helmet, and it seems like I'm not doing anything, I'm actually doing this, and gouging and ripping and tearing. Okay? So even if I'm doing this, and Eddie is trying to punch me from here, okay, get up and flare out. Okay? What I'm doing here is, even though this is happening, my hands and my elbows extend out and flare out like a cobra almost. Okay? So if I'm just doing this, I don't want him to still reach my eyes. I don't want to get into this situation. I gouge me. Okay? I want that. So if I'm here, I flare, tuck my head in, and I start mangling. Okay? I don't know if it continued, but we ended up like so. Ended up here, from what I remember, smacked him into the face a couple of times. Turned around to look what was going on. I had my helmet in front of my face, I couldn't see jack squat. Grabbed his throat, had his groin. Okay? Pretty much on the mark. Pretty much on the mark. So, and then you change it around. You do the exact same thing from the opposite position. You go down on the ground. I'm the guy in the guard. Okay? I'm the good guy. We're here. Okay? We've fallen down. Okay? He got his hands on the inside somehow. Now, the guy who's going to get into the other guy's face is the guy who's trained his tactile sensitivity better. Okay? The guy who's trained his tactile senses better. So, if he's got a better tactile sense than I do, and my defense is so-so, he's going to land the first strike, which isn't cool. Okay? But if my tactile sensitivity is better, and I've got a better defense, then what I'll do is, the second he begins to move, is when I'll feel that, and then I'll do something by doing something to distract him, busting his fingers, strike over here, and so on and so forth. Okay? Now as I'm striking and I'm doing all this stuff here and ripping into his ear and I'm pulling and spitting at him and nailing him into the groin and stuff, I gotta at the same time, nail, and get ready to get out. Okay? If you're getting out of the guard, you gotta be very careful though. Because if let's say I nailed him here, I'm getting up, I don't want to fucking eat this shoe here in my face. So it's very important that you maintain that tactile sense until you have cleared the danger completely. So we're here, and I've worked, and I've gone like boom, head button, eye gouge, and spit in his face, and I ripped his ear off, and I went boom, and I nailed him in the balls one, and I hit him here and here. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do is as I start to get up and bust his fingers and stuff, is I got to maintain that tactile sense. Now, I've got two choices, depending on what my surrounding is dictating. Now, if Zeta's back there, I got to be getting up on this side. I got to see where he is. I want to give him my back. If Zeta's over there, then it's okay for me to continue stepping this way. But at the same time now, I got two things to look out for. Multiple attacker situation, possibility, him kicking me in the face. I cannot foresee either of the two. I cannot ignore the possibility of either or. Okay? If I'm not concentrating on the possibility of multiple attackers, I could get nailed. If I'm concentrating too much on the possibility of multiple attackers, and I think that I've hit this guy enough times that he's down, and I lower my guard to face him, boom! I'll get nailed right here. Now, you got to be careful on how much damage you think you have inflicted upon your opponent. There's a term that's called ambulation after death, and what that is that's post-mortal or post-death activity. That means that even if you've shot the person dead fatally, he can still, through muscle memory and oxygen and so on and so forth, continue on moving and continue on performing. Hundreds of cops have died that way through ambulation after death, where they thought they mortally wounded somebody, and that they thought the person was dead because they shot him like 5 or 6 or even 23 times in some cases. And then when they went to cuff him or approach him, the guy turned around and still fired off a few shots and killed the cop. Although technically, and for all intents and purposes, he was dead. There's one particular case where this guy was in a car, and there was a big shootout between him and the cops, and one cop came beside the car and right by the passenger seat. The guy was in the driver's seat and he was shooting off. He didn't see the cop sneak by. The cop pulled his gun and shot the guy right in the face. And how it was explained to us is that the entire left portion of the guy's face and skull and frontal lobe of the brain was blown off and shot. The guy's like the entire left side of his face was spread upon his car door and car seat. He was shot, his nose got blown off, his entire eye socket got blown off, the whole frontal lobe portion of his brain got blown off, and the cops looked inside and whatever, and it's like, obviously the guy's dead. I mean, you see his brain splattered all over the place, and there's blood everywhere. So when they approached him to get the body out, the guy got up, and he allegedly went and reached under his car and grabbed a bottle of beer and started drinking it. And the cops were in a state of shock. So, and the guy to boot survived. And they showed us slides of the guy's face after, and he's like, this entire section has been reduced to this, and it's all sewn up. He's, half his nose is missing, and his whole eyeball has been sewn up. But the guy lived. So it's very important to never underestimate, number one, pain tolerance thresholds, and the fact that human beings have an incredible capacity of taking pain and punishment. I mean, I personally know of a guy, a bouncer, who was stabbed 13 times in the gut, like rapidly, by his opponent. And the bouncer knocked the other guy out with the butt of his own knife and drove himself to hospital and survived. So there's hundreds and hundreds of cases of stuff like that. So you got to be very careful. So for the martial artists who think that, if I do a punch and, hit him in the chest, or, straight blast him in the face, or, break his knee with a side kick, that'll stop the fight. Well, if a 44 caliber gun blowing a guy's face and brain out doesn't stop him, there's no physical technique technically on earth that will stop an emotionally disturbed individual, a guy really high on like severe drugs, or somebody just bent or hell-bent on them tearing your head off. And you never know who you're fighting, and the worst thing you can do is underestimate your opponent. Underestimate who you're fighting, or overestimate your skill or your capacity. In another incident, there's a man, I believe it was in Idaho or Ohio or something, who was drowning. I think it was his son. And he's in a pond up to his chest, like up to about here of water, and he's drowning his son. And the cops came up behind him, and the amount of damage they inflicted on this guy to try to retrieve his child from him, not to let him kill his kid, was incredible. They shot him one time through the shoulder. The bullet went clear through, blood everywhere. They whacked him over the head with the paddles of the boat 3-4 times. They eye gouged him. Guy went behind his head, stuck his fingers in the guy's eyes, cranked it, applied a chokehold, a strangulation. 3, 4, 5 cops were on him, beating him, shooting him, and trying to pry the kid out of his hand. The guy didn't budge. He didn't even flinch. He just maintained that position. They finally cut the kid off. Kid survived. Story ends well. But the guy didn't move. And when all the cops dispersed and moved out, before they cuffed him and arrested him, he stood there in the water without moving, without flinching. So you never know who you're facing out there. So it's very, very important that if you have knocked your opponent out, or you did drop him, or you think the fight is over, the fight is never over until you're at home. Okay? It's not over until you have cleared the premises completely. As long as you're in the same room, within the same 30 square foot area of your opponent, the fight is not over. And it's very important to keep that in your mind. Enhance your survivability by tenfold. Okay? So as I was stating over here, you got to be very, very careful. Do not undermine the fact or think that your opponent is unconscious. There's also the possibility that he may be playing possum. You never know. You hit him one time, he's faking the injury more than it is. You're turning around to look at his friend or the good-looking girl who just walked by or whatever that caught your attention, and out comes the gun or the knife. You be very careful. Okay. When looking at grappling and ground fighting, again, these are just some of the drills that we do, but you want to be able to do that and apply these principles and these drills that we're doing to every technique or every position on the ground that you can come up with and think of. And try and put yourself in the most awkward of positions and fight from there. Whether it's the guard or the mount or the T position or pinned to the ground or whatever, place yourself there and do work at 3 levels. And if you want, you can even work and add in a 4th level, as we were talking about earlier, where you got the knife, right? So now he's putting the knife. I turn around, I can't see, I don't know where he's putting it. Okay, no, I mean like conceal it somewhere on your body. So he takes the knife, he either puts it in his front, in his back, in his sock, wherever. I don't know. Whenever it's concealed, let me know. Okay. So now I turn around, I have no idea where the knife is. I can't see a lump, nothing. So what we do is we start from the clinch. Okay? So we start from here, and we do the same drill as earlier. He's trying to take me down as hard and as fast as he can. And the thing is that any time he wants, he can pull out that knife. Okay? And if you train yourself, what we do now at the school here in my group classes, and here's a tip for all of you, is any drill that you do, because the only assumption that is safe to make in a real fight is that your opponent is carrying a concealed weapon. That's it. That's all. Anything else can get you killed. If you don't have this assumption, it can get you killed. A bit of a catch-22 if you ask me. They always say never assume, but you could. You can always assume he's carrying. Like that, again, what did we say earlier? Your mind can locate that file and go, oh yeah, there's that possibility of a weapon. So if I don't have that, and we're in the middle of a clinch, and all of a sudden he starts to reach for a weapon, and I go, oh fuck, too late. I'm only going to realize when it's here or after he's pulled it out. But if my brain is alert and goes, always assume he has a weapon, regardless of what situation. And now we're here, and all of a sudden this guy starts to reach for his knife. I go, oh fuck, and I step in here, and what am I doing? I'm jamming his knife hand right away. I don't know what he's doing with his other hand, punching me, headbutting me, whatever, and now I can start to fight back and do stuff, but I've already intercepted and jammed this. He pulls it out, okay? And he goes to gut me. Boom! And we end up here. We're still on. Fight's still on. I don't stop. I'm going to continue fighting from here now. What do? Keep going. Kill me. Okay? So now I've got to fight from here. Boom! My headbutt. I'm trying to eye damage him from here. I never, ever let go of the weapon hand. Ever. We're going to see more of the knife drills. To learn more about the knife stuff, we have a whole tape called On the Cutting Edge for knife defense, where we get into tons of live drills using knives. But this is to give you an idea where you can incorporate weapons into every single drill that you do, especially when working on ground, because there's nothing more dangerous than rolling on the ground with a guy who outweighs you by 50 or 60 pounds, who all of a sudden pulled out a blade and he's trying to stick it into you or show you what your internal organs look like. And you can do that from any position. You can do it from what we're talking about here, where we're starting from this position here, and he's got the knife, and we go. And now he's going to, he's trying to kill me, whether it's to stab me or to do whatever, and we fight from here. Okay? It could be from the guard. It could be from the tee. It could be from the clinch. It could be after a tackle. It could be whenever. The key is that you shouldn't know when, but you should always assume that the possibility is there. And your partner, it's not always necessary to pull out the knife. You could, but it's not necessarily mandatory that in every drill, just because you're carrying it, you got to pull it out. You gotta fuck with your partner's mind. Sometimes you pull it out, sometimes you don't. But the fact that you have it on you at all times will increase and enhance your awareness of concealed and improvised weapons. Anyway, that's it for the grappling and ground fighting tape. I hope that you were able to glean a lot of information from this. We have tons of other tapes that we touch upon a lot of other stuff, like as I was saying earlier in the Tactical Urban Combat box set series, there's in the defense against most common attacks, you'll see the pin to the ground and the stuff in the tackle. This is why I didn't go too deep into it. This was more on submission termination. I wanted to not dwell upon so much positioning and the submission aspect of grappling, but more so on the aliveness of